What if an algorithm could do more than just predict the winner of a global conflict? What if it could architect the entire battle from start to finish? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it's quickly becoming our reality. In this explainer, we're going to break down how a simulated, AI-driven conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran revealed a terrifying new era of warfare. But to really understand the simulation, we first have to look at the real-world conflict that gave it all the data. So let's set the stage. We're in June of 2025. The world just witnessed a short, absolutely brutal, and pretty conventional conflict. But this war, it would become the baseline for everything that came next. It shocked strategists, and crucially, it generated the massive data set that would fuel the AI's predictions. It all kicked off on June 13th with a series of devastating Israeli surprise attacks. One of the most audacious was called Operation Red Wedding, a surgical strike that took out 30 senior commanders of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Iran's response was swift and massive. They unleashed a barrage of over 1,600 missiles and drones. The whole thing escalated when the U.S. jumped in, striking Iranian nuclear sites, before intense pressure brought about a shaky ceasefire just 12 days after it all began. Now, here's what's really interesting: the gap between what they wanted to do and what actually happened. Israel's goal was a total knockout blow to completely eliminate Iran's nuclear threat for good. But the outcome? Well, analysts called it strategic incompleteness. Sure, Iran was hurt, its military and nuclear infrastructure took a serious hit, but it wasn't defeated. Its missile reserves were way deeper than anyone thought, and the regime held on. The war didn't end with a resolution, it just paused. So the crucial takeaway is what both sides learned from this. Israel confirmed it owned the skies. Its air force could operate almost freely. But Iran adapted on the fly, changing up its missile tactics to double the number of missiles that actually got through those sophisticated defenses. And most critically, the cost of defense was just staggering. Allied interceptor stockpiles were burning through at a rate that just wasn't sustainable. Everyone knew a second round was coming, and fighting it the same way was a recipe for exhaustion. A new, more efficient way to wage war wasn't just an option, it was an absolute necessity. And this is where the story takes a radical turn. That stalemate in 2025 and the crazy economics of modern defense forced military planners to look beyond human strategy and into the cold, calculating world of algorithmic warfare. Algorithmic warfare isn't just about using AI to, analyze some data or guide a drone. No, this is a complete paradigm shift. We are talking about an AI that designs the entire war plan, manages all the targeting, and executes missions at a speed that no human mind can possibly keep up with. It's all about removing that human cognitive bottleneck to get a decisive advantage in speed. The groundwork for this new doctrine was actually pioneered by the Israeli military. Intelligence circles had a pretty dark name for its targeting system: a mass assassination factory. It was basically made of 3 core AI systems. First up, Gospel, which automatically generated thousands of infrastructure targets. Then you had Lavender, which profiled individuals and basically gave them a score from 1 to 100 on whether they were a suspected militant. And finally, the chillingly named Where's Dottie, a system that tracked a target and sent an alert when they were at home with their family. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly captures the terrifying efficiency of the whole system. What used to take months of human intelligence gathering, analysis, and decision-making was compressed into mere minutes of machine processing. The kill chain was no longer running at human speed, it was running at the speed of an algorithm. Okay, so let's see how all of this builds into a full-scale simulation. Using all that data from the 2025 war, military planners simulated a brand new conflict set for February 2026. Only this time, the AI wasn't just helping out, it was in command. And the simulation kicks off. It's codenamed Operation Epic Fury. From the very first moment, every decision, every target, every single strike is orchestrated by a closed-loop AI architecture. This is round 2, and it's being fought by the machine. The results were immediate and incredibly dramatic. Just look at this comparison. In the first war, that first bar, Iran's missile attacks were sustained for almost 2 weeks. In the AI-driven war, the second bar, you see this huge opening barrage, followed by an almost complete collapse. So what on earth caused this difference? The AI-driven strategy caused a staggering 92% collapse in Iran's missile launch rate. It wasn't just degrading their ability to fire, it was systematically annihilating it. The game-changing idea was called persistent air denial. See, instead of waiting to intercept incoming missiles, which is a super expensive defensive game, the AI used a network of sensors and aircraft to maintain continuous patrols over Iranian territory. It hunted down and destroyed mobile missile launchers before they even had a chance to fire. The whole strategy shifted from defense to preemptive offense, all of it orchestrated by the machine. The ultimate test of the system was a decapitation strike. The target, Iran's supreme leader. Now, this was an incredibly difficult intelligence problem. He was mobile, heavily protected, and there was a 5-kilometer margin of error in locating him, which made a conventional strike basically impossible. The solution was to fuse a powerful large language model with a data analytics platform, creating this cognitive engine to manage the entire mission, completely autonomously. From the moment the AI fused the data to pinpoint the target's location to the confirmation of a successful strike, the entire kill chain took just 11 minutes and 23 seconds. A mission that would have taken teams of human analysts months of planning was executed by an algorithm in less time than it takes to get a pizza delivered. Now, a victory this fast and this total seems pretty decisive, right? But the sheer speed of algorithmic war creates its own kind of shockwave, with consequences that ripple out across the entire globe, far beyond the battlefield. The immediate Iranian response in the simulation was to close the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point. As you can see from this chart, the global economy, especially in Asia, is incredibly dependent on this narrow waterway. China alone gets 38% of its oil imports through it. Shutting it down is a direct attack on the world's economic bloodstream. And this table shows you exactly what that means for, well, for everyone. Even a short-term closure of a few weeks would spike oil prices to around $100 a barrel. If it lasts for months, we are looking at prices over $150, which would trigger a guaranteed global recession. The AI may have won the battle, but the economic fallout could easily lose the peace. This brings us to another crucial point. This new kind of warfare isn't just about who has the superior tech. It's a brutal war of attrition. As one analysis put it, it's a race to the bottom of who runs out of munitions first. The winner is the side that can simply afford to keep shooting, the side with deeper magazines and a more resilient industrial base. And the battlefield is no longer just physical. Not by a long shot. Cyber operations have become completely inseparable from kinetic conflict. In this simulated war, missile strikes were synchronized with malware attacks, electronic warfare to blind radars, and disinformation campaigns to sow chaos. Every part of the digital world, from social media to critical infrastructure, becomes a new frontline. So, what does all this mean? The simulation of Operation Epic Fury didn't just model a war, it modeled a new reality, one that's governed by the logic of machines. So who actually won this simulated war? On one hand, the US and Israel achieved all their tactical goals. The nuclear program was gone, the leadership was eliminated. A clean sweep, right? But Iran, even in defeat, proved it could hold the entire global economy hostage. It showed that a regional power could inflict catastrophic and just unsustainable economic pain on the whole world. So in this new kind of warfare, a tactical victory can easily become a strategic defeat, blurring the very definition of winning. The conclusion here is pretty inescapable. The nature of power itself is changing. The simulation suggests that future conflicts won't be won by the nation with the biggest army, but by the one with the most sophisticated algorithms and the most robust data infrastructure. The key strategic players are no longer just generals, but the data scientists and machine learning engineers who build these algorithmic weapons. This leaves us with a profound and, honestly, a deeply unsettling question. We've seen how AI can architect and execute a war with terrifying speed and efficiency. But as these systems become more autonomous, more integrated, the line between executing a strategy and creating one starts to get really blurry. When decisions are made in microseconds, human oversight becomes the bottleneck, the very thing the system is designed to remove. So we have to ask, if AI can predict wars, will it eventually control them? What do you think is the biggest risk of AI in warfare? We really want to hear your thoughts, so let us know in the comments section below. And if you want to understand more about the technologies that are rapidly changing our world, make sure to subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for watching.